One of the biggest obstacles of having a toddler on TPN is figuring out how to give them independence while they are learning to crawl and walk, and not losing your own independence in the process. How can they move around and reach those milestones while connected to bags of liquid and pumps? We were caught wondering the same thing, and we found one family that shared their solution, which helped us to formulate what we could do. I see so many parents asking about this and wanted to share exactly what we did in hopes that you will find inspiration to come up with something that works for your child or just copy what we did. This is the TPN cart my husband came up with. It is constructed from supplies from our home store and was pretty easy to put together. After about using it for a year, our sister-in-law painted it and decorated it for her, making it look a little more kid-friendly. This gave our daughter so much more independence and free to explore around the house, wherever the bucket could follow her. There were some drawbacks and functional issues, which I will discuss in a little while, but overall it worked well and we are happy with it. The following is a list of supplies all bought at Home Depot that we used to build it. A 5-gallon bucket. 3/4-inch galvanized floor flange for a steel pipe. 3/4-inch PVC pipe, dry fit with a 3/4-inch connector piece which screws into the flange. The length of the pipe is about 2/3 the height of the bucket. A 1/4-inch round zinc rod, 36 inches long. This is what we use to hang the TPN from. 1.25 number 6 wood screws. 2-inch castered wheels. We bought 5 of them. 17 3/4-inch rounded board that is 1 inch thick. 3/4-inch self-adhesive rubber foam. Eye bolt screw. Carabiner clip. A dog leash. A medium-sized dog harness. Now I'll explain how we put it together. Screw the 5 casters in a star pattern on the bottom of the rounded board. Next, take the metal flange and the screws and mount the bucket to the wooden board. Connect the PVC pipe and the connector piece and screw into the flange. We took the rod and bent it in half and then used channel locks to bend it at the top in the shepherd's hook pattern. This is how it looks in relation to the bucket. We cut a thin V in the side of the bucket so her tubes could come out from there. Make sure your line in the side of the bucket and your eye bolt match up. You can see here how we use the weather stripping on the edge of the board. Now you're ready to fill the bucket. We didn't show it, but there is room to hang a food bag and include the pump also. Use the carabiner clip to connect the eye bolt to the dog leash. Attach the other end of the leash to the metal clip on the harness. To prevent excessive twisting between the tubes and the leash, we use rubber twist ties to connect them at the ends of the leash. It is very important, as you see here, that the leash is shorter than the tubes. And here's how it works. As you can see here, it rolls nicely after her. It worked on our carpet as well. We never had to worry about it tipping over. Sometimes it did get caught when she turned a corner. We just had to fix it. And eventually, when she got a little older, she would just do it herself. When she turned about 3 years old, we didn't need the bucket anymore, so we turned it into a mini ivy pole. Here are the supplies that you need. 3/4 inch galvanized steel pipe that screws into the floor flange. We use the 24 inch. 3/4 inch galvanized T. 3/4 by 8 inch galvanized nipple. Disassemble so you can remove the bucket. Reattach the flange. Take the 3 supplies that you just bought, attach them together, and then screw them into the flange. Then take the metal shepherd's hook and slide it into the top. As you can see, it's pretty sturdy, and the handle is higher, making it easier for an adult to maneuver. There's more than enough room for her food pump, TPN, and lipids pump. I did forget to attach her food pump for this video. And here's her using the mini pole. We've taught her to loop her cords up so nothing is dragging on the floor, and then she's able to easily roll it. The only thing that it's not easy for her to do is roll it on carpet. Here are some helpful tips that we found along the way. Anchoring the central line in the G-tube to one location has been a lifesaver. This is standard for us even when she's sleeping. If either are ever in use, they are pinned and anchored either to her ostomy belt or her waistband. It has solved a few problems. First, the central line never gets pulled at the site, so we don't have to worry about the line ever being ripped out of her chest. Before we learned this trick, she had many occlusions during her TPN cycle because the thin part of the catheter would get pulled and twisted, causing a kink. This caused many sleepless nights of trying to untwist the catheter, sometimes leading us to have to unhook her just to untwist and then reconnect, which is putting her more at risk for an infection. Finally, the thin part tore and we had to go in for a line repair. But by securing it to the pin, we've eliminated this problem altogether. We've also dealt with granulation tissue around her G-tube site. Sometimes it got so bad despite me cleaning it daily. I finally realized that any pull to that site was the source of the problem. I realized we had to anchor the line the same way we did for the central line. The problem was that the Durapore tape wouldn't stay put on the extension piece. I finally found a G-tube connector cover that solved the problem. I put the link for the cover and the G-tube pads that I've purchased over the years in the description. In the next segment, I included a video I sent to another mom where I explained how we secure them. So this is what I do. I take her TPN line and I take a piece of Durapore tape and I flag it, and then I connect it to, I've pinned this to her ostomy belt, but I've also pinned it to the waistband of her pants just as easy. And I use those diaper pins and I just put it through. Durapore tape is the best because it won't rip. So essentially what that is that everything is connected here at this line, and if anything is pulled, it pulls right here. It never pulls at the site. And what this is her connector cover. You'll want this as he gets older because he won't be able to mess with this, because kids have been known to play around the connector and then it just snaps around. So I just put the pin through there and I keep it in there, and then I connect her G-tube, and then it all covers it up, and that's how she goes to sleep. This is how everything looks when she's fully clothed. Securing the lines in the way that we do has not restricted us in clothing choices, which is really important to me. I've kept a onesie on her under her clothing to conceal her torso through age 4, when I saw she wouldn't pull at anything when we weren't watching. H&M has them online in the bigger sizes. One of the issues we had to figure out was the twisting of the leash in the tubes. It's inevitable. We started using the rubber twist ties, and that helped a lot, but we also found a way to have one line coming from her instead of 2 separate ones. A mom showed me a trick of the trade. We used the Vigon tubing supplied through our pharmacy at the end of the TPN lipids line and run the feeding tube through the spiral, essentially giving her one line running from her body to the cart. The Vigon tubing also helped having to have less of the tubes on the outside of the cart as it had a lot of slack to it. You will have to play with it to figure out how much to keep in the cart and how much to run on the outside. And here's one more picture of how it looks when she's fully clothed. Overall, the pros were that it gave her and us independence. The bucket didn't tip over. She was able to pull it easily on hardwood and fairly easy on carpet. It acted as a walker for her when she did begin to walk, and sometimes became her big purse for toys and anything else that she found along the way. And for the cons, when it got stuck around the corner of a wall or an object, we had to move it for her until she was old enough to understand how to do it herself. The twisting of the leash in the tubes is inevitable. If she was moving around a ton, we would periodically have to untwist her, meaning we would have to pick her up and turn counterclockwise until it was back to normal. However, the twist ties and having the one line really helped. The mini pole is pretty heavy. It's easy for her to maneuver it around hard wood, but she usually has to push the wood base on her knees to move it on the carpet, or just have one of us move it for her. Thankfully, she is mostly running her cycle while she sleeps, so we don't have to use it a ton. Unlike the bucket cart, the pole has fallen over just a few times. She is pretty aware of it, so she's careful, but I'd recommend continuing to use the bucket if your child is not aware.